Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the College Disc Golf National Championship recap show.
After dark.
After dark again. This time, there was no guts involved. Instead, storm rolled through about midday. Beautiful weather this morning.
It's a good storm, though.
It was a scary storm.
It was a good storm.
Beautiful weather this morning. Storm rolls through. Everyone's called off the course. About an hour and a half-ish delay, which pushed the women's singles finals and the men's D1 start times for the lead cards back to about 4:30-ish. They were able to finish in daylight, though.
Yeah, that worked
really
out.
Not even close to pushing to dark.
Yeah, no, it worked out just fine. Storm blew away the bad weather, and it ended up being nice.
Yeah, it ended up being a beautiful day.
Yeah.
What we had talked about yesterday a little bit, where there was the 64 singles that went out. 64 men played yesterday.
Yeah.
And we're like, I wonder how it's going to be. Today was a scoring day.
It was.
It ended up being. Wind was down. There was a few. Some players might have had to play a hole or two in the rain.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 holes in the rain, but not many holes in the rain.
Much. It turned into a storm pretty quick.
And then it turned into a gorgeous day, wind down again.
Yeah.
So today was a scoring day, and my goodness, did some players take advantage.
And today we have like much more conclusive results because like half the field for D1 men's had played singles and the other half hadn't. It was kind of like, well, we kind of know where people stand, but like now tonight we know where teams stand heading into the rest of the event.
Now, before we're going to talk about where teams are standing now, and I got to top of the hour apologize to Houghton University.
Yeah, you got to really apologize.
And the whole community, because apparently I've gone viral in the Houghton University community.
The Houghton faithful is.
I thought yesterday I pronounced them Houghton multiple times. It's Houghton.
What's their mascot?
I don't know, but you know what I do know is
find out.
They were able to hold their own through singles, which was what we thought was going to be their test.
Yeah.
They popped off in doubles. Very solid performance in doubles yesterday. Obviously, they had the lead. Went out today in singles, put up a respectable score to hold their own. They are now 1 stroke off of the lead because Clemson did some unbelievable stuff in singles.
Yeah, were they the best singles average? I think
I will double. I'll verify, but there's no shot they weren't.
They had to be.
My phone won't let me verify that.
I don't know what their mascot is either. I got to be honest with you.
But anyways, Clemson has jumped Houghton now. They have
they're the Highlanders. Go Highlanders.
Clemson has a 1-stroke lead over Houghton after the singles round is again. So how singles works is all 4 guys on the team, and for the women's, we'll talk about them in a little bit. All 2 women, they all play. You take the scores, average them together to get you your 1 score under par. So Clemson averaged, I believe it was a 7 under par. Par was 60. Yeah, Clemson averaged in singles. I'll say that again. A 7 under par.
Which, for reference, Hot was 11.
Yes. Hot was 11.
So, like, averaging 7 is insane for 4 guys on your team. That's
it was
ridiculous.
Unbelievable. So, they were able to make up a 3-stroke deficit from yesterday and turn it into a 1-stroke lead going into tomorrow. Then we have a 2-way tie for third, I do believe, here between Emporia State and Ohio State. They're sitting 3 strokes back of Clemson.
Yeah.
Very doable because we're headed into the gorge doubles, which, for those of you not familiar with North Cove, the gorge is where every course out here has a lot of OB. The gorge, though, is where, there's some real teeth out there. The separation really happens out there.
Yeah, a lot of separation. It's one of the few courses that, like, going into doubles, and even if it wasn't a course with a lot of separation, it's close enough at the top that there'll be some competition. But, like, I would say you can be 6 or 7 back right now, and going into the gorge, there's a chance. Like, you can.
Well, let's talk about that line. 7 back is about where I was thinking. That puts. There's a big tie for 11th place at 7 strokes back at 13 under, which consists of Georgia, Liberty, NC State, Portland State, Colorado State, and North Texas.
Yeah.
Just on the outside of that is Virginia Tech. Solid school, but I think that 8 strokes with that many good schools ahead of you is going to be a bit to overtake. 7 strokes is even going to be a big ask.
I think it's really going to take 2 double-digit rounds at the gorge. Like, you're going to need like a 10 and a 12. And then you're going to have to hope some of the better teams up top don't fire like that, basically. And, it's certainly not good to be out of position, but there's hope. You're just going to need 2 magical rounds at the gorge for sure.
Yeah. So, realistically, I'm trying to scroll down this leaderboard, see if there's anyone that is shocking that is not in contention anymore. I think one shocking thing from a older collegiate player is seeing Ferris State in 30th place.
Yeah.
I think they were even this year. We were talking to some people before the event, and one of them, I believe, even told us, like, well, you always got to look out for Ferris.
Yeah.
Seeing them this far down, a little bit surprising. Let me see where the current national champs ended up after singles, because they were holding their own. They're still holding their own. So they're at 16 under right now, only 4 strokes back.
Yeah.
The defending national champs, they know these courses. They played them well last year, well enough to win. They're in an attacking position. So tomorrow's top pairing will be on Clemson and Houghton. They'll be the ones on coverage.
Yep.
And then the chase card will be Ohio State and Emporia State, both tied up. We've seen firsthand Ohio State is very solid at the Gorge.
Yeah.
We won't spoil a bogey battle we shot out there, but we know Ohio State's capable of scoring. We'll say about that.
They're a well-rounded team.
And they even, I believe, I don't want to butcher who it was. I believe it was Carson.
The match play?
Took down the match play, the inaugural college disc golf match play championship today. So he's already a national champ. Carson is.
Exhibition
national champ, but he holds the college disc golf national match play championship title.
He does.
Took down Jonah from Liberty on a pretty electric hole 18 finish there. But let's actually look over into the D1 singles results. And we can kind of look at the cut line a little bit too. But so after yesterday, because obviously the top 64 played yesterday, we had, I believe yesterday, Noah Free of Missouri was in the lead at a 10 under. I believe. Today we had Clemson, Shane McCullen from Clemson shoot a 10 under, and Caleb Fennell from Oklahoma Christian shoot an 11 under.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean he won. There is a final 13 holes that'll be played at the Gorge. Tomorrow, his tee time is actually 4:10 p.m. is when the lead card for that will tee off. But some notable teams that are still in it due to some of these plays. Cincinnati was able to get 2 guys at 9 under par. We were looking at it yesterday. Their one guy that made the top 64 struggled out there bad.
Yeah.
Cincinnati still in that 6 strokes or better cut gap.
Right.
Because they were able to put together some very solid single scores today during the scoring day. Some other teams that had solid singles performances, Liberty overall had a pretty solid singles performance. No one came close to the solid performance of Clemson. We already talked about Houghton. They were very solid. And Noah Free, by the way, plays for Missouri. So, probably speaks to their success from last year as well. I'm trying to scroll down towards the cut line here. So the cut line this year was 6 under par out there.
Yeah.
That's really, a very tough
really
cut line.
Tough one. And it came down to the very end. There was a ton of guys tied at 5. That was where the cut line was. And then Lance from Ohio State, I believe it was, ended up making a putt on 18.
Yeah, he told me it was like a 35, 40-footer.
Going to 6 under and breaking that tie, essentially, like squeezing in, and knocked out a ton of guys out of the finals.
Yeah, because I believe it was top 28.
Top 28 in all
and
ties.
Basically, there's a tie for 17th.
Yeah.
That goes down to 30th place.
Yeah.
So, very brutal cut line there at that 6 under mark. That was a tough mark to hit. But
certainly,
the schools that are towards the top, the schools that are in contention, got at least 2 guys in that cut line, and that tended to be true of college disc golf historically as well. You needed guys to be fighting for an All-American spot. Now, how All-American works, assuming this hasn't changed, but how it's always worked is after the finals, places 1 through 10, first team All-American, places 11 through 20, second team All-American.
Yep.
So that's always something exciting that these guys are fighting for in the finals. Obviously, you're fighting for a national championship title for singles, but if you find yourself right now they're tied for 17th, so everyone's in it. But if you find yourself towards the back end of the stretch, in 12th, 13th place, you could still push for first team All-American.
Certainly.
And that's an honor to have. So that's something I know people always care about during that finals. Now, over on the women's side, let me switch up my tabs here. You have to have so many tabs open to follow this thing.
So many things to follow. I wish there was all in like a pull down tab on the live scoring.
So the women's D1 fully wrapped up singles today. We'll talk about that in a second. But their scores are in for their team play, and the returning champs, Missouri, back in the lead, but now tied with BYU. They're both tied at 3 over par after singles. And not too far out of it, we have Liberty's A team and Oklahoma State. So Liberty University and Oklahoma State are 4 strokes back, both tied there. And then Milligan is sitting in 5th place, 5 strokes back. Very make-upable. Very easy to make those strokes up as Trevor drops his phone. Very easy to make those strokes up, but we saw players from Missouri and BYU today. They seem like a very solid team, both of them.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be tough to make up strokes on them. Their lead card will be teeing off at 1:40 p.m. tomorrow. It'll actually include a threesome, so Liberty will sneak onto that lead card, it looks like, tomorrow around 3. And I believe they're playing Boulders tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. If this will let me. Yes, Boulders. So they'll be playing the Boulders course tomorrow, which that course, they've been playing River Run. River Run is the easiest of the 3 on the property.
Yeah.
Boulders for the women's D1 team will bring in a lot of separation in doubles.
Yeah, that's going to be super interesting to watch in doubles just because, Boulders, there's quite a few holes where if you don't get a lot of distance off the tee, you have pretty long approaches, even for a lot of the men's players. So I'll be very curious to see, what the scores look like. There'll be certainly a ton of separation opportunity.
Yeah, so it's far from over.
Yes.
Now, what is over, Dunzo, is the women's D1 singles, and it was electric. Trevor and I followed along for pretty much all of
most of it,
final 13.
Yeah.
We were watching some of the men's D1 and then jumped over there, I think around hole 3 or 4 of the final 13 and watched it all the way in. And Taylor Rowley from BYU was able to pull it down. Incredible play down the stretch. It was constantly back and forth between her, Alexis Kerman from Missouri, and Cece from Wisconsin, Madison. They were going back and forth. Lily Marr was sneaking up in there. She had a few big holes. She had a few big holes at the beginning, then came back.
Yeah.
And then a few big holes at the end.
Right.
That kind of lowered her down. So that was the top 3, though. Taylor, Alexis, Cece, and Taylor was able to take it down. It was an awesome moment on 18. 18's a great finishing hole in River Run.
It is. Yeah.
It is great to see that.
Sets up nice for a gallery.
Yeah, so that is kind of where the standings are now. Now that the singles round is behind you, this is when the tournament starts.
Oh, yeah.
Because we talked about
the wild card of the singles round is over now, so now it's kind of like, you know where you stand.
Because day 1 singles we talked about, or doubles we talked about, you couldn't win it day 1. You could definitely lose it. Day 1 doubles was stay in the fight.
Right.
And on the men's side, that looked at being around, 10 under was kind of like we're staying in the fight. Singles, that's when you really make up strokes. So with the average, it's not as drastic as it used to be, but you saw Clemson able to really put their name in there. Now that singles is behind you, those blow-up swing opportunities, way lesser.
Oh, yeah.
They're heading to the gorge, the men are. Women heading to the boulders. Similar effect for both divisions. A lot of separation possibilities for doubles, but at the end of the day, it's still doubles. So that's where you can make up 3-4 strokes around, but much past that, it's going to be very hard to do.
Yeah, I think, in doubles, the name of the game is you are no longer going to be able to make up any strokes making pars, and it is a hard course. You have to score. You have to score, and make no bogeys. That's the only way to get it done now. There's you got to switch your mindset from singles the day before because there are some good rounds, but 6-7 under is a great score, and there's plenty of opportunities to lay up, play safe, not mess with the OB. But now it's going to be pedal to the metal, and you're going to see a lot of those teams that know that they're 5, 6, 7 strokes back. They've got nothing to lose, so they're just going to be throwing super aggressive, and there's a lot of chances at the gorge to throw really aggressive shots. And at this point, you just have to score. You have to score in every chance you can get, and every missed hole is just another wound. Basically, it's tough to come back from.
Now the gorge is. I'm trying to think. The gorge is probably the toughest course outside of Dean's Cup that college disc golf has seen, especially in a national championship. Toughest in a different way, because obviously WR Jackson is probably the toughest relative to par, but WR doesn't have the type of OB that they're going to see out here on the gorge.
Right.
What if you're a team that's kind of towards the lead? You're a Clemson, you're a Houghton University, where you're happy with where you are. You just want to keep that. You want to make sure you're in that position in Saturday.
Yeah.
What's your strategy in doubles? Because we've always been a aggressive first, layup second team a lot of times.
Yeah.
Do you flip that with how much OB's out there?
We were never aggressive first layup.
Well, when
second.
it comes to your approach shots and
stuff
like
putting
that.
And whatnot, you're saying?
Yeah. Well, not necessarily just putting, but
I was to say drives we usually were
layup. Drives your layup first, aggressive second.
I don't know.
Period.
I mean,
but I'm saying nowadays, even we played the gorge, even some of the putts.
The putt, there's gonna be a lot of really big decisions as far as the approaches and putts of okay, the basket's on a huge mound, and like, yeah, you ran it and rolled away, but like, do we, it's only a 30-footer. Like, we can't lay this up. But if we roll away again, we're losing a stroke. There's going to be a lot of decisions like that to be made. Those schools at the top, you can't really step off the gas at all because there's too many talented teams out there that, like, it's, going out there, being in the lead and going out there and shooting 5 under just isn't going to cut it. Like, you're going to get buried. So, like, you really have to just continue to step on it and play your game. And, yeah, I'll be curious to see, like, there'll be a lot of aggressive plays, and there's going to be a lot of throws going out of bounds. Like,
well, yeah, when we played the Gorge, because this is a new course, obviously, to this tournament, on at least this preview show. D2 is played out there. I believe the hot round for D2 doubles yesterday, I haven't looked at their scores today, was like round of 7 under.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
But it's a new course to the D1 division going over there for this tournament, and it introduces just a much different tournament aspect where when we were playing it, we both noticed like you can't relax on any shot. Mm-mm. Every shot, every approach shot, like on boulders, there's some shots you're like, okay, I can't really mess this shot up.
Right.
Just grip it and rip it.
It's an easy drive. Like, I'll just worry about the upshot.
Yeah.
Not the case at the Gorge.
At the Gorge, every drive, every approach shot, every putt, there was some sense of danger. There was something you had to think about and consider. Yeah. It's a mentally tasking course out there. I expect D1 hot round to probably be around 12.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I would guess.
Yeah.
It depends a lot on the weather tomorrow.
Right.
I'll take a look at that right now.
True.
But depends a lot on the weather tomorrow. But if the weather's like it was today,
we know there's rain in the forecast pretty much all day.
Just rain.
But just rain is not that big.
It's not that big of a deal.
Although
the wind
I will say,
is interesting.
One thing to think about with rain is wet grass, and there is
Skips.
a lot of tight fairways where a skip is very bad. So
it seems
wind seems down.
Wind seems semi down, but gusts up to 15 to 17 miles an hour.
Okay.
Towards the afternoon, but 5 mile an hour constant wind. So
not too bad.
Nothing crazy. The rain will definitely affect how the course plays because some areas it's going to puddle up and you're going to get no skip, and other areas it's going to be
I can think
fast.
of a lot of spots where there's mounds or slopes that, like, if you have wet grass there, you're sliding and skipping off towards the OB. It'll definitely come into play.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can mess with people's footing.
So with the rain, it double digits. It might be 10 under. It's closer to the line.
I would still say 12.
But so if you're a Clemson, you're a Houghton University or something like that, you got to be getting to 7, 8 under at least.
Yeah, I mean, at least I would think that all those teams have their eyes on double digits. Like, that's really what you have to shoot for.
It's going to be a very interesting final stretch to this tournament. We also, I believe, tomorrow we'll have the men's singles final go down.
Evening.
So there will be a single.
Be super exciting.
There'll be a singles national champion crowned tomorrow as well. While we wrap it up with this, Trevor, because you got to watch some D3, we both watched a little bit of D2 because we were watching the match play. Why don't you tell me your favorite moment of the day?
Favorite moment of the day.
Putting you on the spot.
Well, I would say my favorite moment of the day comes from the women's D1 finals, and it was probably that final hole. Watching that drive, like, I think that was the most electric moment
when
of the
it was
day.
rolling towards the OB.
So basically, you had Taylor 2-stroke lead going into 18. There is a creek that kind of goes to like an island style green, but you can lay up short of it as well. And she yanked her drive. Looked like she was probably going for it. Yanked her drive. It hits a tree that's short of the creek. It drops. She turns around at this point. Like, I think we kind of...
She was upset.
Yeah, well, I think she thought it was gone, and I kind of did too. But then I was like, oh, wait, that's just going to drop in, which is fine. And then it started rolling, and I was like, oh, well, now it's definitely going out. And we lost sight of it, and then we hear everybody start cheering and, like, throwing up the safe sign. And, like, she turns around and was like, what just happened? And we get up there, and the disc was literally on the OB line pretty much. It was, like, touching it safe. And that eventually led to her winning. But, like, I think that was a pretty electric moment. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We heard a bunch of throw-ins. We think there was like 2 on 18.
Yeah, we saw one guy running from 18 from what looked like 300 feet down the hill.
Somebody had a bomb.
There was
an
ace on hole 9 today. Yeah. I believe Missouri's D3
I
team.
will say I did get to witness. I was following D3. I guess this was second or third card even. Might have been third card that my brother was on. And the guy who ended up winning D3 came from that card. He started the day at 2 under and shot 8 under in 13 holes to win at 10 under, which was, so I got to witness that happen. I mean, he literally started off with a par, and I think he went like birdie, birdie, eagle, birdie, and just, he really torched that course. He was playing really, really well. So that was pretty exciting getting to see that happen. His name is Micah from Anderson. So shout out to Micah. So that was fun. Got to
we you know what? When it was all said and done, we got to watch 2 national champs tap out on 18, which Micah didn't really tap out. He hit a probably 35 footer.
He made a nice putt there on 18.
Ended up being the national championship winning putt.
Yeah. So
we got to witness too. I think I got to go with the same answer. I'll just say, to be slightly different, I'll just say Taylor's win itself, just tapping out. Watching a national champion get crowned, there's nothing like it.
The cool thing about this tournament is because there's so many different divisions going on, and like, yeah, you could say like, oh well, like the Division 3, like it's not as big of a deal, but like to those players, it is. Like that's what they're competing.
That's their
towards.
national champion.
That's their national championship, and like there's good players in those divisions. Micah played fantastic. He shot an incredible round. I'd love to see what it was rated because those are rated rounds. But it's so cool that like because there's so many divisions, like throughout these next few days, you can kind of just almost just walk over here. That person's coming down the stretch to win some kind of championship. Oh, the match play thing's ending over here. We'll watch that ending. Like there's so many dramatic moments, and you can just like walk into one, and all of a sudden you're in it.
Yeah,
like that really
was
fun.
What was cool. We went women's. First off, we watched the D3 men's singles. Watched that come down the stretch. We didn't know at the time of him hitting that putt he won, but he ended up winning. But you could feel the moment still.
Yeah.
Came back, ate some lunch, went out, watched some D1 men's, popped over to the D1 women's. You could feel the energy coming down the stretch. We watched someone get crowned national champion, walked up, filmed some D1 men's, walked across the street, and watched the match play championship come down.
Yeah.
So it's just boom, adrenaline-filled moments that just threw you back to competing and just threw you into it.
That's what that round
10:57 final.
Yeah, 10:57.
And college ratings, D3 college ratings.
Nuts. 13 hole rating.
13 hole, yeah. It's a pretty insane rating. But
yeah.
There you have it. So tomorrow, again, will be the first day we'll get a good taste of the gorge. It'll really set the stage for the final round. We'll see, because the gorge plays different than boulders. So there's some teams that shredded boulders that might not shred the gorge. So we'll really get to see who's looking the best, who's going to be the favorites going into Saturday. The drama's far from over. All divisions are pretty close right now. All divisions are kind of up for grabs. So
certainly
it's going to be electric. There's going to be more national champions to talk about tomorrow as well. So you're not going to miss it. And again, stay tuned for the coverage that's coming out on the PDGA and Sky Heiser of what we just were talking about. All these moments that we were talking about, most of them were being captured on coverage. So you can witness it just like we got to today. It's absolutely electric. You're going to love it. And hopefully you've been enjoying this coverage of college disc golf.